This video is brought to you by Incogni. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire Upper Echelon community. All right, today I want to talk about a problem, and apparently I want to get myself roasted because this is probably not going to be a take that the bulk of my audience appreciates. Maybe I'm wrong about that, possibly. I really don't think so, and I'm mostly expecting that the like-dislike ratio is going to be pretty excruciating. Still, regardless of what people say on the internet, my sole purpose on this platform isn't to just pseudo surf the tides of public sentiment, so I'll just kick it right off here. Access journalism is a very big problem in the video game industry, but not in the way that most people think it is. And I can't believe I'm about to say this right now. Not because of Tom Warren or The Verge. Quite the contrary, I think it's a pretty good example of industry double standards, managing to showcase on full display just how broken the world of video game journalism is for precisely the opposite reasons that the public is angry about right now. That's a very cryptic way to describe things, I know, so let's do the obligatory context overview. About a month ago, over on Steam, a new game called Deadlock began alpha testing. Deadlock is a hero shooter, kind of a MOBA hybrid, Overwatch meets Team Fortress 2 mashup creation, with a map and minions and 6v6 gameplay. But the important part is it's being made by Valve. The game looks fun. In the background, I have some Deadlock gameplay from a small channel on YouTube called PC2 Master Race. I'll link to them down below. But the thing that matters is Valve. See, somewhere in early August of 2024, something about the alpha testing fundamentally changed. Previously, there had been a couple thousand testers online at any given time, but that number began to rapidly skyrocket, and it turned out the mechanism by which new players could get access to the alpha test was a pretty simplistic invite tree. I don't know if I have to go in depth here, but essentially any player with access could then give access to anyone else on their entire friends list, which led to whole dedicated server channels on Discord for the purpose of sharing these invites and getting as many people into the game as possible. Yeah, it very quickly spiraled out of control, and suddenly there were over 20,000 concurrent players in this private alpha test, private with big air quotes there, meaning that the real number with access was far, far higher, by the way. Concurrent player base is just a fraction of the overall total. There were 20,000 concurrent players in the test at any one time who didn't have to sign a single thing to get there. Hopefully everyone can see the problem. Deadlock is now everywhere. The gameplay is all over social media. Odds are someone on your Steam friends list has been playing it nonstop, and the metaphorical levee broke to where no form of copyright censorship or other takedown mechanisms would ever stem the flow of public information. The ship sailed. The game is out there now. It's a done deal. However, the most interesting part about all of this is a journalistic outlet called The Verge and a reporter named Tom Warren. Yeah, Tom Warren, because of the invite structure, gained access to Deadlock, just like the presumably tens of thousands of other random people who were actively playing the game. He clicked past the pop-up non-disclosure agreement, which isn't a non-disclosure agreement in the first place, and started playing. Being a video game journalist, he decided to write an article about this, and it landed him squarely on the bad side of public opinion because he was violating the trust of Valve and spreading information about the game in a way that they didn't intend. That's really the crux of the entire issue. Before continuing on, today's video is made possible by Incogni, which is an online privacy and data protection service. Every day, without fail, your data is being sold by third-party brokers or frequently accessed without your knowledge in data breaches. A recent example would be Facebook literally selling your message history to Netflix. Some people don't care about this. They should care, in my opinion. But this lack of data protection often facilitates identity theft or other cybercrime. And for anyone who wants to prevent that kind of thing, Incogni can help. Your personal information is everywhere, not just in the archives of companies you know about, but other data firms as well, who then sell it all across the internet. For everyday users, it's effectively an impossible task to stop that in any capacity because there are hundreds of these data brokers, and it's a nearly insurmountable obstacle to contact them, fight objections, and get anything actually removed. However, Incogni does all of this for you quickly and easily. I've used it myself, it works, I've seen the results, and therefore I can sincerely recommend it. The process is relatively simple. Sign up for the website, give them specific legal permission to work on your behalf, and let them know the information that they'll be having removed. After that, sit back and let them work. Aggregation of the service lets them streamline the process because most people as individuals can't really do anything and don't have the time or ability to make a difference. Using the link down below in the description and code Echelon at checkout, you'll get 60% off an annual subscription to Incogni. I could go into a lot more depth on this. The services they offer and the value they provide is quite large, considering, but for the sake of time, I have to keep it trimmed. Again, link down below and promo code Echelon for 60% off your subscription. Big thank you to Incogni for sponsoring the channel. Just to make something abundantly clear here as I resume, I have no love for The Verge. They suck. routinely. And I've never even heard of Tom Warren before all of this happened, but sentiment right now in the video game community is extremely clear. Verge bad, Tom Warren evil. He ignored an informal NDA. Stupid, stupid, poo-poo, stinky. I hope they get banned from covering Valve games forever. They suck, blah, blah, yeah. That's kind of the atmosphere that I'm witnessing. And at the risk of running afoul of that very same public opinion right now, you're all wrong. Just to get this out of the way, I myself would never have done such a thing. Not against Valve, anyway. See, I like Valve, and I have different rules for different companies. A great example would be Cyberpunk 2077 at the 2018 closed doors E3 reveal session. I was in the room and witnessed the enormous amount of backlash received by a smaller creator who decided to tape the audio from that session because they didn't explicitly say he couldn't tape the audio. I was just as angry as the rest of the community when that happened because this guy had straight up betrayed the trust of CD Projekt Red, secretly taping something and then releasing it when the thing itself took place in a very, very small setting, in which he was one of a carefully selected group of people with a legitimate agreement not to record. Not cool. But this, right now, with Deadlock and Valve, this is a very, very different thing. Like I said, I would not have personally done what Tom Warren did because I like Valve. If it was EA, though, and 25,000 people were playing their new, Battlefield game with no actual non-disclosure agreement, yeah, I don't give a shit. I wouldn't be respecting and honoring their little NDA pop-up window because it doesn't matter. But the community is falling into a trap right now. That's the main point, where their love of a publisher, an individual publisher, is tainting their entire overarching opinion of journalism. Let me put it like this. Imagine any other industry, social media, technology, software, literally anything. Now imagine there's a giant new product coming out, like an iPhone or a VR headset or whatever it happens to be, and they ship that product to anyone who has an invite code. Minimum tens, more likely hundreds of thousands of these products get sent out, and the only thing they have is a little paper, a note in the box when you open it, and it says, "This is a secret product. Don't talk about it, please." That's it. You would be hearing about this product on every single major technology media website immediately, and they wouldn't be wrong for doing it. They would not receive backlash. They would not receive criticism. They would be reporting on widespread publicly available information about a new product in the industry, as every single other relevant publication did it too. That's kind of just how it works. But here, in the video game industry, people are livid at Tom Warren simply for talking about something and posting an article to The Verge when that same topic is getting talked about by thousands of people across social media, hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, and tens of thousands of players in the game right now. It's actually insane to witness this kind of delusion firsthand as people get genuinely angry about a reporter covering a topic that hundreds of thousands of people were given total open-ended access to with no actual protections against what any of them could say. It's completely mind-boggling to see the sentiment emerge that this is disrespectful to Valve or a betrayal of their trust. And it marks the real issue with video game journalism that's probably going to get me a decent amount of backlash for saying. Access journalism, big air quotes there, is a bad thing. Being given something and then covering that thing with positive slant with the express intention of maintaining some sort of enduring connection so that you can be given more things and do more coverage in the future is a damaging cycle. But it's a cycle that exists in practically every single industry. Full disclosure, I myself have partially engaged with that subject when it comes to Path of Exile 2. I got flown out to LA, played a demo of the game for a day, came home, and then covered it. Now, you have to trust that I genuinely liked it, because I did. And Path of Exile has been one of my long-standing favorite games ever, by the way, since I was a child, with multiple reviews. I play it every few seasons, etc., etc. However, another thing you don't know is that I also did an interview with one of the GGG founders. Yeah, they selected me from the group for some reason to do an interview with game director Jonathan Rogers, and when I came home, I literally didn't even use it. In a sense, I feel guilty because I wasted their time and resources to a degree, but I don't do access journalism like that, and I just didn't necessarily think that interview served my audience a whole bunch. Also, I was completely unprepared for it and mostly just confused about why I was there to begin with, especially seeing how cliquey the entire community really is. People all know each other, they had their own drama, and I felt like I didn't really belong there. Regardless, the game was fun. I did talk about it in a video, and I'm absolutely going to play it when it comes out and do a full review. It's fantastic. But there's this entire multi-angle HD interview of me with one of the GGG founders just sitting on my hard drive because I don't know what to do with it. and posting it just for the sake of posting it felt kind of strange. You may rightly be wondering, how does that even connect? But let me just tie it all together. Access journalism is almost universally a bad thing, if allowed to fester, for example. It's a corrosive problem that gets worse over time. However, Tom Warren from The Verge, by covering Deadlock in the way that he did, is not exemplifying the concept of access journalism. Precisely the opposite, in fact. He's showcasing the behavior of someone totally unconcerned with access journalism by talking about Deadlock, even though talking about it cannot be viewed as any sort of realistic controversy, betrayal of trust, or problem. Inversely, the hardcore gaming community are the ones cheering on the concept of access journalism by celebrating the idea that The Verge might be barred from covering Valve titles in the future. People are saying it's deserved and they should get blacklisted, which is the antithesis of a healthy media environment when you're talking about a game that has been essentially leaked completely to whoever wants to play it. The only reason not to cover a game that has been so widely and completely dispersed to the public with no legal protections whatsoever of any of it, and a multitude of people across the entire planet posting raw footage, reviews, commentary, etc., the only reason not to cover it is access journalism, and a hope that you will stay in the good graces of Valve as a company, which means better access later because you avoided talking about something abundantly public now. I have to reiterate here, any other industry, take your pick, would never have the same controversy. Try to fathom whether or not Google, sending out 50,000 copies of their newest Pixel phone and Wired magazine reporting on it thereafter, would cause people on social media to be like, "You're betraying Google's trust. The little paper note in the box said, 'Don't talk about this. How could you?'" No? Is that an unfair comparison? Okay, how about something much closer to home? Sit there and tell me with a straight face that if Epic Games released their next big update for Fortnite to everyone with an invite code, we're talking probably over 100,000 people, and people could just also generate infinite invite codes. Try to tell me with a straight face that PC Gamer writing an article about the next big Fortnite update would be a betrayal of trust and worthy of them getting blacklisted. Go ahead, think it through. Full circle now. Access journalism is a bad thing. But for some reason, the video game community is so hell-bent on criticizing media outlets and journalists for participating in it, they're ignoring their own role in exacerbating and perpetuating the problem as well. I'm not saying there's not enormous issues with video game media and gaming journalists as a topic. I have ample videos in the past criticizing them for a variety of things. But this is a really strange display of self-delusion where the community is raging about the fact that a video game reporter covered something that is essentially public and cheering on the idea that access journalism should now be weaponized against the outlet he works for. That's not proper logic. People often criticize gaming media for being access-driven, but now, when a reporter does something ever so slightly against what their favorite company might want, the community rises up and basically screeches that their access should be taken away to try and bludgeon them back into submission inside the framework of access journalism. Anyone who's angry about this article from The Verge is part of the reason why the media industry is so broken. You can't have healthy journalism when even the audience is clamoring for access enforcements against you, for covering even the most obviously public content possible. Again, I wouldn't have personally done this to Valve because I like Valve, but I would have done it to Activision Blizzard, or EA, or possibly Ubisoft, depending on my mood. So I can't sit here and whine about the fact that someone else covered Deadlock when anyone could go play it whenever they wanted to anyway. End of the day, when it comes to Tom Warren, The Verge, Deadlock, and access journalism, the spicy take of the day is, I think the community is actually the problem on this one. They're unknowingly enforcing a toxic standard for media and journalism in the video game industry, and they don't even realize. So hit me with it. I know the like-dislike ratio is going to be spicy on this one. So yeah, I've resigned myself to that. That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. The video sponsor, Incogni, of course, social media, merchandise, Patreon and locals for monthly memberships, etc., etc. But I'll cut it there and stop rambling. Can't wait to see the feedback for this. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.